I do think that, as an industry, we have not done a good job of showing our value to the media and to the consumers and the general public. When we say we blasted across social media, this house sold for $25,000 over the asking price, sold in 3 days. Okay, folks, you did not take that listing and at 3 days later it sold. Okay, it may have sold up 3 days on the market, but we are not doing a good job of articulating all the value we bring in order to make that 3-day offer happen.
Right.
Like I have a listing right now. I signed the paperwork in October. It just hit the market 2 weeks ago. Clients are out of state. I have worked on that house. I have caretaken that house. I have done repairs on that house on their behalf. I have had it mowed. I'm like, yes, we are now under contract, 8 days on the market, but that's months of my work and attention that it took to lead up to that. So some of this is, again, I think I said in one of our other episodes, the media loves to take whatever's on top and take it to the bottom. And as an industry, we kind of let our swagger make us a target.
Right. And I think I really want to underline this. Like there's a recurring theme that I've been harping on, which is basically this sort of marketing fundamental of like expressing your value, right? So how are you different from other agents, right? Because that's going to allow you to charge more, but just also from an industry level, like, really demonstrating the amount of work. And so, I've heard other commentators out there like sort of satirize the agent that is sort of making it look easy and then posting the Instagram thing and look at me, I made a big commission check, and like, that is not necessarily bringing it home for,
it's clearly not resonating.
Right, exactly.
Because even the president of the United States, took a shot at realtors.
Right.
So, I mean, like, that does not work.
You're the second guest to bring up, if the president of the United States says, I forget the exact quote. But,
well, it wasn't factual. So, so showed a lot.
Well, I mean, and that's sometimes it's like, it's like, so the meta can be more important than the message.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, president of the United States says something that was not accurate about real estate agents. It's like, okay, we have a
perception problem.
Right, exactly. Not a like maybe factual problem.
Correct.
But like perception equals reality. And if this is how it's internalized by the market, you have a problem, right? And it's going to take a while to fix. So my perception on the, like, let's say the buyer's agreements, which I'm really super interested to get your feedback on. But my first reaction to that was this might actually be really healthy.
Oh, I think so. And I think it can really level the playing field for those of us. Now, some states have always required buyer's rep agreements. Yeah. So if you're a realtor in one of those states, I know we sound like lunatics that we haven't been using them. I don't know. You were right all along. You should probably have one of them on the show.
Right, exactly.
I talk to those realtors. And
if you're one of those realtors, leave a comment down below. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, because like when I talk to realtors in those states, like, what do you mean? Why is there a hubbub? Why would you not use one? Like they're so like breathing to them.
Yeah.
But I personally shifted from using them haphazardly to using them religiously during the pandemic. So I look at myself as this is the experience of an old dog learning a new trick. So it can be done.
Right. So you were on this before.
Yes, I shifted before, partially just because the volume of buyer tire kickers, in Austin pandemic, it was insane. And I had to get control of it. Like it was no longer something that, oh yeah, I should do that. It would be smart to do that. It was like, no, something has got to change. And I was working with a great coach, Todd Tremonti. He helped me see like how you can do this. And I have not wavered from it since I started. So it's been huge. And I think that when the industry as a whole is required to use them, it will level the playing field. So those of us that use them aren't kind of competing against people that will drop what they're doing and go show a house at 4 p.m. without a conversation.
I think there's a lot of fear around the buyer's agreement. And so
I felt it myself.
One of the questions, what were you afraid the buyer was going to say when you basically had this piece of paper or DocuSign?
Yeah.
And it's like, this is my buyer's agreement versus what actually happened.
Well, first of all, I just felt like it would feel too formal. It would be, off-putting. And then, I mean, even now, like when I say my fears out loud, they're so far from what happened that I'm laughing at myself. It's hard to remember what my fears were, but
there's probably a lot of people watching right now that are like, no, that's exactly what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. So I was worried it would feel like the cart before the horse. It would feel high pressure. It would feel just too much. And I mean, think about it. If you went to a divorce attorney today, what would they want to take you on as a client? They'd want a letter of engagement.
Right.
They'd want you to sign saying they're aware that you'd want something saying, I'm aware I'm your lawyer. I'm aware you're my client.
Yep.
So I think that a lot of realtors are so afraid to just say, here's what you get when I work for you. When we establish a working relationship, here's what you're going to get. Here's what it's going to cost. That you're so afraid to say that and articulate that you're hoping nobody notices. You're hoping to just like sneak your commission in there. And I think that that's not transparent and it does deserve to stop.
That's right.
Like
That's right.
We can have square conversations. And for every buyer, for the realtors not using buyer representation agreements, for every buyer that's bought somewhere else, they went to an open house and bought, they went to a builder and bought, that's a function of you not signing a contract and having, you thought they were your client. They didn't think they were yours.
Right.
So let's just acknowledge that clarity, it may mean you have less phantom buyers or fictitious buyers, but it'll mean the buyers you have understand you're working together and they see your value.
There's technology now that will help people see those phantom buyers. And that has been interesting as people that have been exposed to that technology realize like what's being left on the table. And rather than like having some revolutionary thought, basically it just reiterates the whole like speed to lead and like foundations that, the underpin like the basics of the business.
Sure. I was listening to Greg Harrelson. It might have been on a Keeping It Real episode, but I was listening just earlier this week, and he was saying that the speed to lead matters because in a sense, if you are the last to talk to a buyer and someone that was skilled enough to help them understand what representation brought to them, they really are off the table for you if you're late.
Right.
So I would say the caveat to that is it doesn't matter if you're the first one to speak to them if you're not articulating any value.
Right.
Because they can still pass. It's not like whoever speaks that person first automatically gets them. You have to earn that client fiduciary relationship.
Right.
So that's a misconception I see with the buyer rep agreements in the past. Some people have thought, well, I can't just have that conversation out of nowhere. And it's like, no, you're not supposed to have it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're supposed to first have a conversation, determine what that buyer is looking for, and determine if you're a fit to meet their needs. Then you have the conversation about like making this official.
I think, Greg has been absolutely fascinating. So for everyone watching, like Greg streams live in the Real Geeks Mastermind group every week on Tuesday. And his last couple of sessions on, NAR have been truly fascinating. And I think that, he might say something along the lines of, you not only need to be first, like in that speed to lead, but you also need to be the best.
That's right.
And so it's not just I need to be fast, like you said, sort of like playing the Zillow, like, oh, I got to answer my phone, thing. It's like once you're on the phone, you then have to be able to articulate your value in the right way.
That's right.
To get them to want to sign that contract with you. People
that have been afraid to use buyer rep agreements, sometimes they may feel like they have what it takes to work with that buyer. They have the competence level. They can articulate their value, but they haven't been able to beat some of these, pop-up realtors that will meet them at the door at 4:00. And then that client or that buyer gets kind of roped into signing something with maybe someone that's not as sophisticated or not as good.
Right.
So that's why I think leveling the playing field is not a bad thing because yes, we can't just, wait around all day, but everybody is going to have a buyer rep agreement signed. So if that first agent that's willing to do whatever isn't also good, it takes away our need to compete with pop-up realtors.
This is what I was going to say. Let's see if I can actually get it out this time. So I think that this is going to drive a level of transparency to the buyer that I think we hoped was there, but it probably wasn't there. I mean, they're signing a lot of documents with a lot of numbers on it, like when they're doing these huge transactions. So they might not totally be aware of how much money they're spending on commission. right? And so now they're going to be more aware. And so more customers are going to think, did I get value for that money? Right. And I think that is going to be, one of those moments that is going to be important for the industry.
This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. Real Geeks is the all-in-one real estate sales and marketing technology platform that is designed to make real estate professionals more efficient. New for 2024, Real Geeks has 4 packages. The base package, which is the same platform that everyone's used to, that starts at $299, as well as 3 packages that include leads. So if you're looking to upgrade your technology and get leads, we've got something for everyone. All of the packages include SEO Fast Track, which is Real Geeks' AI-enabled SEO tool, which builds out long-tail, programmatically driven AI content for your listing pages. Data coming off this has been great in terms of generating long-tail traffic for our customers. You want to check this out? Head over to realgeeks.com and tell them that you saw us on Keeping It Real.